Okay, now we're going to take a look at the beginner performance. A couple of things before we get started on this. This performance isn't necessarily aimed at beginners, it's also for intermediate and advanced players as well. It's just to kind of get used to playing kind of slower ballads rather than upbeat metal stuff all the time. And just using the type of techniques that we're going to be using in this next example, it's really going to improve your ability to do that. Throughout this example as well, we're going to be playing a lot of what I call reverse power chords, which kind of gives the sound that you're using a detuned guitar or 7-string. And what we're doing is we're looking at all the power chords from the perspective of the A string. So say, for example, the first chord we're going to play is a B power chord, which is going to be the 2nd fret on the A and the 4th fret on the D. And what we're going to do is we're going to bar the 2nd fret across the E as well. So we're going to get the 2nd fret on the low E. And when you include that with the B power chord that I just played, you get this sound. Okay, so what's happening with that chord is we're playing the B, then we're adding the 5th. So we've kind of got an octave in there, which would be the F sharp, and we've got the B in there as well. Now, the F sharp, the 2nd fret on the low E, if we were playing a 7-string, our first finger would be on the low B string on the 1st fret, and our little finger would be on the 2nd fret on the low E, which would be the 5th, as if we were playing a normal power chord. But when you include that with an octave higher power chord, you get that kind of same effect that you do on a 7-string. And for some reason, it just kind of works on the guitar when you play it like that, so you get a really fat sound. As opposed to just playing a normal power chord. Okay, right, for the first part of this example, we're going to be playing the B chord that we just looked at. And we're going to play 2 downstrokes on this B, so we're going to have... Then we're going to use left hand muting, and we're just going to mute the strings, and with the right hand we're going to play down, up, and then down. And then the next chord we play is going to be slightly before the next beat with an upstroke. So, so far we should have this. So the next chord we're going to use is a D power chord. Now we're going to be using the same technique as what we did with the B power chord. So we've got the D power chord, which is 5th fret on the A, 7th fret on the D. And then we're going to play the 5th fret on the low E as well and bar our first finger across the 5th fret. So we're going to get the same effect. Now, after playing the B chord, we then come into the D chord, and we're going to start this with an upstroke, and we're just going to have up, down and up. So we're going to have this. So when you combine it with the B chord, you should have this. Okay, the next chord we're going to be looking at is an A power chord, but we're going to add the 9th in there as well. So it's going to be quite a stretch if you're not used to doing this kind of thing. We're going to start with the 5th fret on the low E, then the 2nd finger is going to play the 7th fret on the A, and then little finger on the 9th fret on the D. And when you play it together, it should sound like this. Now the right hand technique that we're going to use for this is play the chord with a down, up, down. So we're going to have... Then we're going to use left hand muting, and we're just going to strum with our right hand down, up, down. So it's fairly similar to the B chord that we played at the beginning of this progression. So at a slow tempo we should have this. Then the last chord in this sequence we're going to play is an E. So we've got, again, E power chord from the A, 7th fret on the A, 9th fret on the D, then bar our first finger across the 7th fret on the low E in the A. And then we're just going to do up, down, up on this chord. Okay, so at a slow tempo, all the chords together with the picking patterns and the muting and everything should sound like this. Okay, and once we finish that progression, we're then going to start on the first beat of the bar and just repeat that whole thing again from the B. And that chord progression is actually repeated 4 times round. Then for the next chord progression, we're going to play the same thing again, except we're going to take out all of the actual left hand muting and the right hand strumming. So you're going to have even gaps in between. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, now after the first 4 times round with the left hand muting and the right hand strumming, the second time round we're going to play the example that I just played, and we're going to play that 4 times round. And then that brings us into the kind of chorus section, if you like, of this example. And we're going to use our 9th power chord again, but we're going to use it on the G power chord this time. So we're starting on the 3rd fret on the low E, 2nd finger on the 5th fret on the A, little finger on the 7th fret on the D. And we're just literally going to be playing even downstrokes on this. So we're going to have this effect. Okay, on that second example, at the end I actually made a push into the next chord, which is going to be the B. So at the end you're playing it fairly evenly, and then you're just going to play the B chord slightly before the next first beat of the bar. So you're going to have... Then when you get to that B chord, you're going to play it exactly the same as the G, just constant downstrokes. So let's see how that sounds. Then after we played the B chord, we're going to push into the next chord, which is going to be the A power chord that we looked at with the added 9. And we're just going to play the same technique again. So we're going to just use downstrokes on that as well. So we're going to have... So it's fairly straightforward, this section, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. So at a slow tempo, it should sound like this. Okay, so at slow tempo, that's how many times to play it along with the backing. And the last time round, instead of going to G, we're going to go to E, and we're just going to use the same right hand pattern again. So we're just going to go. Then at the end of that, we're going to just push into the G chord and then the A chord. So we're going to have this. Okay, for the change between the G and the A, if you wanted to kind of keep your hand in that same sort of position, you really could just slide everything up 2 frets to give a different effect. So you'll just have. So again, just taking those 2 chords in that shape, you can kind of slightly alter the rhythm, whether you just play on the beat or slightly before the next beat of the next bar. So you can just kind of experiment with that. Okay, well that's pretty much the whole chord progression from start to finish. And then you just pretty much go back to the beginning and just repeat the whole thing again. And then just to end the piece, we're just holding the B chord at the end.